here, and I'm back with another video for Ophelia Talks. And today, well, this video is not for the faint-hearted. You have got to have nerves of steel to watch this video, okay? Or even to do this project. So let's get into it. A few months ago, I spotted this on the internets, and I thought, that looks very nice. But I could see how it was made, and I thought, that's not straightforward. So today I thought I would do a video for you for this. And of course I have tried this out beforehand, and I have to say it looks amazing. It looks really, really nice. Now, if you look at this square here, you will see that the middle, row 1, or rather round 1, is one colour, round 2 is another colour, round 3 is another colour, round 4, and so on. Now here, this looks different from this, but it is exactly the same pattern. It is just that the colours are used differently. So here row 1 is one colour and row 2 is one colour. But then from row 3 we are intermingling the colours and we are doing clusters of different colours in that row where we are normally just using one colour. So while this looks very nice, and here comes the nerve-wracking bit, I know that when I turn this around, some of you are not going to be able to cope. So if you have a delicate nature, I suggest you either close your eyes or just turn this video off, because you are not going to be able to cope. This, my dearest viewers, is what the back looks like. Now, you know I like my ends quite long, and they are what my normal ends are like, but you have got to change colours so often, and of course, with it being granny clusters, if you were to take them along, you would see that. So I did try around here to start taking them along, and honestly I just couldn't cope with it, because you could see the different coloured yarn laying there. So the best way for me personally is this. Now obviously I have no idea what I'm going to do with this. I might turn it into a cushion, but then again I'm going to have to sew in the ends, and of course sewing in the ends you need to keep it within the colour. So I can imagine that this technique is lovely. It's lovely to try it out, but I am unsure about what to do with this. You could, for instance, make 2 panels, crochet them together, and they'd have their own filling of ends. I don't know what you would use that for, but I am going to do a tutorial today of showing you how to do this. Now of course I can hear you say, Anya, just take it along, take the yarn along. As I said, you can see the yarn. Even here you can take some of it along, because obviously you're doing the same color, but then here, across here, it wouldn't work, things like that. Now on the other hand, I can also hear you saying, Anya, just use the magic knot. But as you know, I don't like using the magic knot in case it comes undone, because then you have nothing to work with. This is why I like weaving in my ends. I love the look of this. It's an optical illusion, of course, because you are doing a granny cluster square and you are changing color. You are making these little mini squares in your rounds, and of course that makes it confusing for people if they have an untrained eye. So let me show you how to make this. Let's have some fun trying this out. Go and find some leftover yarn that you have, lots of colors, so we can put this together and you can have a go at making this. And let's not worry about the ends. We're just going to have fun crocheting and changing colors and making this lovely optical illusion. So for this project you can use some scrap yarn that you have. I am using DK thickness of yarn. I have the Spring Garden color pack here, which we sell on our website, but of course this is just a trial, so you can use whichever yarn you have. It's a DK yarn, so I'm using my hook 3.5 that I always use for the yarn. It's normally prescribed for a 4, but I've got tension issues, so I use a 3.5, and you'll need scissors. And what you will also need, to be honest, is a little bit of insight in how a granny square is made. So we're going to get started normally, but then you have to have a little insight of the clusters and when we can change colors. Okay, so I have slightly rearranged my yarns. This is not important. I thought I could do a little bit of a rainbow style inspired square here. So we've got Richard of York gave battle in vain kind of thing, and then I'm adding pink to that. And here we go. So we're going to get started with a normal granny square start. So make your slip knot. Insert your hook and let's chain 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Then we go to the first chain, go into it, if you can manage that, pull back the yarn, there we go, do a slip stitch and we've got a little circle. Now we're going to chain 2, this represents a double crochet. And now I'm going to do 2 more double crochets for my first cluster, then 2 chains and 3 double crochets for my next cluster, 2 chains into the same circle for another 3 double crochets. As you see, I'm starting off really well. I'm taking along my end. 1, 2 chains and another 3 double crochets for a 4th cluster. There we go. Okay, now we do 2 chains, 1, 2, we skip the original chain, go under the next V and we do a slip stitch. So this is round 1. That was fairly easy. There we go. Okay, and of course if you want to keep up with your ends, then you might as well just sew them in now. Now we are going to do row 2. So we're going to get started, and row 2 is a normal row like we usually do in a granny square. So I always start with a slip knot on my hook and I do a standing stitch. So that means I yarn over as if I was already crocheting, and I go into the corner chain space and I start with making a double crochet. There we go. So for the corner we are doing 3 double crochets, 2 chains and 3 double crochets. So in this round we are making all corners. So in every corner chain space I am going to place the same configuration of 3 double crochets, 2 chains and 3 double crochets. Voila, so now that I have done that, I'm going to go over to the first cluster we did, skipping the standing stitch and going under the next V there, doing a slip stitch. Okay, so now for round 3. So I'm just going to continue with my orange here. I'm just doing 2 slip stitches to get to the corner chain space, and I'm going to do my corner already there. So a corner of 3 double crochets, 2 chains and 3 double crochets. Now, as you can see, I have not pulled through the last stitch because we are going to do our color changes using the pull through method on the last stitch. So now we are in the position or in the side where you do a corner, one side cluster and a corner. So this corner here as well and here are going to be orange, but the ones in between, we are going to turn those another color. So we are going to get started with the yellow, and we let go of the orange and we bring in the yellow, we pull that through. This finishes the orange stitch, and we are now ready for 3 double crochets in the next location to make a yellow cluster. Because also here we are going to be making little clusters, 4 together, which gives the illusion of a little sort of inner of that square, and that's the optical illusion that we are going to be creating. So obviously again here, I should not have pulled through on that last pull through, and now we need the orange again. Now there's a choice. You could have taken this along, and maybe you would not have seen this thread sitting there because you've got it on the same color. You can just start using it now and it will lie on the back of this cluster, or, and this is what I have been doing, you cut it off. So we cut off the orange and we pull it through again. So the yellow goes down and we pull through the orange. I tend to tug these two so it becomes a little bit tight. You could tie them here, but of course that's going to take time, and that means you're going to have to put down your work to be able to tie them. So although this is a lovely look, I have not seen many blankets made like this because obviously, the ends. So once again, I have to make sure I cut off my orange, cut off my yellow and start using my yellow again. Voila. Give both of those a little tug and off we go. Don't finish this one because it is already time to cut off your yellow, start using the orange again. And I have to say, it's fun doing this, but the practicality of it, but sometimes it's just such a great project, such a great effect that I think you just have to try it, even if you're not going to make anything with it. Maybe we could come up with something to make with it. So if you have any ideas what I could use this panel for, then please let me know in the comments, because to be honest, other than a cushion cover, I'm a little bit stumped for ideas of what I can use this for, especially because, of course, there's quite a few ends to deal with. I did do this sitting in front of the television, and Dirk said, "What are you doing? Why are you always cutting off the thread?" And I was like, just don't ask. And he looked at me, rolled his eyes, and he just, kept watching whatever it was that we were watching. So, but Okay, so again, and I know I can hear you shouting at the screen, just take that colour along with you. It's fine. It will be okay. Let's try that in the next round, shall we? Okay. Right, so here we are. So I'm just going to finish my round here, pull out the yarn and get started again with a new colour in the corner and the yellow. So I'm still using the yellow and I'm going to be bringing in the green for the corners. So starting with a slip knot, insert your hook and let's make a green corner. Voila, 2 chains and 3 double crochets. There we go. Okay, now, yeah, take it back one little step, cut it off. So now we bring in the yellow again. Voila. And we are going to do the clusters on the side in yellow. There we go. So like I said, I always do a little tug to make sure that my color changes stay put. Voila. So I don't do the last pull through. Ready to cut off the yarn. Back to the green, because we will be doing green corners for the next 2 rounds. So this is the first round and then we'll do another round of green corners. There we go. Let's give it a little tug. Voila. 2 chains and the rest of the corner configuration. Okay, time to cut off. Back to the yellow for our 2 clusters. On the side. Don't finish the last stitch. Cut off the yarn. Back to the green for the corner. There we go. I'm not doing it. I'm finding it quite therapeutic actually doing this. But if you have got an idea of what I could make with these panels without having to sew in the ends, then please let me know in the comments. But I think this is a lovely project just to try it out and actually just to see the, look, you can already see how the optical illusion works, and it's just nice to see that come out and just to have a little bit of fun and see if you can do this. So back to the green for a corner. There we go. Cut it off. And back to the yellow for a side. and this time we're going to close the round by doing a slip stitch there. So as you can see, we are creating these little 4 clusters together of the same color. So in the next round, we are still going to have to do here, we're going to have to make a yellow cluster here in the middle of these 4 here, but we will already be doing a green corner and another color here. Okay,
it's getting more and more complicated.
Okay, so let's do green corners because that's what we need to do. We have to have 2 rounds of the green corners. And you might think this is very confusing, but once you're doing this and you're seeing the little 4 clusters in the same color appear together, you'll figure it out, I am sure. So there we go. So that's, yeah, my last stitch here. So here, of course, yes, this is where my yellow cluster is going to be. So here we're on to the next color. There we go. So, and I'm doing a little rainbow configuration here. So we are on to the blue. Yes, we've got a lot of, there we go. There were a lot of ends hanging out there. Didn't want to get them confused. There we go. So stop there. There are the scissors. So cut off the yarn. Go back to the yellow. And finish off that cluster. And do 1 cluster here. See, this has now given you those 4 clusters together. And now, of course, we go back to the blue, cut off the yellow, go back to the blue. And of course, taking it along here would not really be an option because you would definitely see that blue through all the colors there. There we go. Now here we are doing a green corner. So is my green still attached? Ah, yes. Okay, so I have to cut that off and start working with the green. To make my corner. Alright, there we go. So no pull through on the last pull through because obviously here we are starting to use the blue. So cut off this colour, go back to the yellow, bring this one in for a cluster. So here we go. So this is how far I got. So really what we are doing is making sure that each time we have 4 little clusters of the same color. So in the next round you will be doing 1, 2, 3, 4 blue ones, and then in the next round you will be putting in other colors already as well. So here we have finished our corner of the 2 rounds, and that makes like the little 4 clusters. So now you're going to be choosing another color for your corners. So yes, although this looks very nice and it's a lovely optical illusion, yes, it does create quite a few ends. It's a lovely look, but even so, I don't know whether this would work for really big projects. This was a couple of evenings that I worked on this. It looks nice, but now that I have made this, I don't really know what I'm going to do with it. Now here you can see that I have put 3 of the same colors next to each other, here 4 and here more. This is very nice because here you can keep on going with that same color, but you could in fact change the color for each of these again and again. Okay, so you could easily do alternate colors or bring in even more colors. So here we have the first 2 next to each other. That could be okay, but then here we could change this color again, you see. So here we could have 2, 2 or 2, 2. You could do even more color changes on this. So as a little challenge, I would love to see your colourful granny squares in the Facebook group Ophelia Talks Crochet. Show me how many colour changes you have done. Show me how many rounds you lasted and how many ends you didn't sew in. I think it's a lovely little project to see the optical illusion happen, to create the little squares of colour in your work. But yeah, on the other hand, the question is, how practical is it really? So I hope you will enjoy trying this out. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!